Welcome to one of the fastest growing sports YouTube channels out there, Gold and Blue Dude. And the ACC has come out and said, we're going to prioritize football even more. We're going to make this conference a football first culture. Well, it's about time. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me again, Gold and Blue Dude. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I do college football videos every single day. While you're here, go check out my good friends at tristatewoodsketch.com. All you have to do is send them the picture, and they'll sketch it onto wood. They make a lot of great things over there. Pictures of all shapes and sizes, great family photos, and it's a great idea for Christmas. Never too early to start shopping for Christmas. Mention Gold and Blue Dude, and you'll get 20% off. If you do your order by phone and mention Gold and Blue Dude, you'll get 30% off. I'll leave his phone number in the description of this video. Don't forget about my score prediction contest. Every week I pick out a game and a tiebreaker game. Whoever gets the closest to the score prediction wins $20. All you have to do is go to my Patreon page, join my Patreon page, you're eligible. If you join my $4.99, you get one guest prediction per week. If you join my $9.99, you get 2 guest predictions per week. If you join the $19.99, you get 4 guest predictions per week. This week's game is Alabama at Florida. And the tiebreaker game is going to be Auburn at Penn State. So join my Patreon page and send me your score prediction for Florida at Alabama and Auburn at Penn State. And this is not a prize that you have to wait till the end of the season. There's a winner every single week. Special shout out to all my channel members who have joined either through Patreon or YouTube. I do apologize if I mispronounce your name. My blue members are Jacob Smith, Brand Brooks, Nay Rocha, Freddie Kicklighter, Jackson Johnson, Yvette Foster, Joey Foster, Last Aggie 66, Ray Finkel's Ryan McCauley, Jeremy Armentrout, Denver Snyder, and Brian Hanlon. My gold members are Nasor Gafani and Jim Hamrick. And my champion members are Jeff Grimm and Patricia Ann Riggs. So when you join my channel, either through Patreon or YouTube, you're guaranteed to get a shout out as well. So the ACC has finally come out and said, hey, we're going to make this a football first culture conference. Well, it's about time, guys. Y'all definitely got screwed on the last TV deal, and you know it. So now you know you have to step up your game. Now, for their branding, they want to have more primetime games, more television appearances, player exposure with content to go with that. So they want the football player names of the ACC to be well known and be very recognizable. Jim Phillips came out and said they're actually going to go to the NCAA, ask that conferences with 12 or more teams not have to have divisions to have a conference championship game. Last year, the ACC had an odd number of teams because they allowed Notre Dame to play under the ACC, so they did away with divisions, and we saw one of the best ACC seasons we've ever seen, and Jim Phillips noticed that. And honestly, I agree with the ACC. What is the point of divisions? Just make sure you keep your rivalries, keep your conference games and your non-conference games, and just let the 2 best teams be in the championship for your conference. So he wants to go in the direction of doing away with divisions. That way in the conference championship, you get the 2 best teams for sure, not just your 2 division winners. Because think about it, with divisions, sometimes the second best team in your entire conference won't get to play in the conference championship game because they're in the same division of the best team in the conference. So you're getting a watered down championship game for your conference. So I like the way he's thinking. So he's thinking if the ACC does away with divisions, they have more of an opportunity, more chances to get multiple teams into this new 12-team playoff format. So this is the thing that allows West Virginia to go to the ACC without having to have Notre Dame to go with them. Because if they go without divisions, then it doesn't matter that nobody comes with West Virginia. The ACC could go to 15 teams, no divisions, and it's just the 2 best teams end up playing in the conference championship. I love it. I think this is another clue, another example pointing to West Virginia going to the ACC. I trust my inside sources, and they've been telling me that West Virginia is going to the ACC for months now. People are pointing to, well, we haven't heard an announcement from West Virginia. The Big 12 has expanded. The 8 remaining teams have announced their united front. Pointing to all these clues and examples as to why West Virginia isn't going to the ACC. And I get it. It's a you'll believe it when you see it culture. But now we're starting to see little bits and pieces to show how West Virginia could get into the ACC even without Notre Dame. That was the biggest thing that I was trying to figure out. I was like, man, these guys have a point. If Notre Dame doesn't join, then how would West Virginia join? They would have to bring somebody else in with West Virginia. And since the Big 12 went out and got Cincinnati, BYU, UCF, and Houston, who could really come with West Virginia? Well, if they do away with divisions, then that wouldn't even really matter. And the biggest excuse that's given as to why West Virginia is not going to the ACC is that the ACC just doesn't want West Virginia. That's straight up false, guys. The ACC does want West Virginia. So you need to cross that one off your list. That is false. It looks like the ACC is actually trying to be proactive this time instead of reactive. They want to be a better conference. They want to get more TV exposure. They want their brand to be much stronger, and they want a much better TV deal. And I think bringing West Virginia is a part of that equation. Now, on top of that, if you think that conference realignment is done, you're in for a rude awakening. In fact, the Big 12 bringing in BYU, UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston is pretty much just to stay alive. They're not going to stay at Power 5 status. I still think think those other teams will get picked apart. Another thing to consider, in 2023, teams could be dropped from their conferences. In the Big Ten, I think they could drop Maryland and Rutgers, swap out for Kansas and Iowa State. The ACC, they could drop Boston College, they could drop Syracuse, Wake Forest, and even Duke, depending on this new basketball coach. Because remember, Coach K is retiring, so Duke basketball could take a sharp decline. And boom, there goes their value. And the ACC is gaining West Virginia, and they could possibly gain Oklahoma State and TCU. Those are three very strong brands. I don't think the Pac-12 will drop anybody, and I don't think the SEC will drop anybody. I don't think the Pac-12 is done expanding either. They could go after a Boise State. The Pac-12 and the Big Ten are thinking about doing away with some of their requirements. Pac-12 thinking about not worrying about Tier 1 research or the religion factor, and the Big Ten thinking about doing away with having to have an AAU membership. So I think the Pac-12 could go after Boise State as well. They really need to. Then the Big 10 could go after teams that they normally wouldn't go after because of the AAU thing. And that's really the right decision if they go that route. So it's going to be interesting to see what college football looks like after the dust settles. I do think the Big 12 loses their Power 5 status, and the ACC dropping divisions allows West Virginia to come in with nobody if necessary. And also bring in an odd number of teams. They could get West Virginia, Oklahoma, and TCU. Even though it's off balance, doesn't matter because they don't have divisions. So just get ready for a lot of changes in the near future. I don't know which of these changes is going to happen. All of this is in play, but some big time changes are still gonna happen in college football. So don't get too comfortable with the way things are right now. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.